Hello, everyone. My computer went blank. So I don't know. Can you see me, Angie? Can you see me, Miss Cloud?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'll go on. And I cannot see you, but the show must go on. So hello, everybody. This is Paula Guthrie from Creating Purpose with Pau, and I welcome you to the Spanglish World Network and Heart Network on Single TV channels 250 and 251. Please remember to download Single TV app on the respective app stores while you download it. And when you download it, please rate it, leave a comment, and let us know how we're doing our job. The app is totally free. Single TV is also available in Google Chromecast, on Amazon Fire TV Stick, Roku, Roku Stick, and all smart TVs from 2016 and forward. And today I am so excited and so grateful to have in the house Miss Cloud. She is a Tahlequah High School principal uh, from the high school, and she has 22 years of experience. And I welcome her to the house. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So please share with us, what is your role as a principal in Tahlequah High
Well, some days I think I'm a chaos coordinator, but basically, I am the instructional leader for the school. We have curriculum specialists in every content area, but we work together as a team. We call it our guiding coalition, and basically, it's our content specialists and our department chairs. And we work together to achieve goals, and we write those goals and develop those goals together. They usually are tied to a district goal that our superintendent gives to us. And we work on those goals and try to move forward and educate our children, all 1,300 of them, as best we can. And we follow state standards. Those are the Oklahoma academic skills. We follow those and let them guide us. And we try to do our best and get kids have the most innovative and engaging opportunities they can.
Yes, and you guys do. I think you guys do an amazing job. I know you care a lot about your students. You care about them finishing, starting and finishing, graduating. Uh, and I know you spend a lot of time on caring for them and making sure that they get what they need in order for them to graduate and set them up for a bright future. So that's awesome.
We have a special circumstance in Tahlequah. We have our mission statement is removing obstacles, achieving results, roar, because tigers roar. And we do a great job of removing obstacles to learning in Tahlequah. We have a great community outreach center in our district, and they, fill the gaps and resources where people have needs. I think my job when I was asked to come on was just basically we're doing a great job of that. We need to refocus on our academics. And I think we have everything in place to do that. We're just going to start focusing more on we have the kids, we love the kids, we remove their obstacles. Now we've got to make sure they have the best academic education.
Now you're working. I know you're working on that. Yeah, making sure that like I know you're working on not not giving them a broad content, but giving them a good content where they learn and they learn it well. So can't wait to see. So
Right.
what inspire you to pursue a career in education?
Well, I always, growing up, I always played school with my little brother. He's 3 years younger than me, and he never went to college because I think I wore him out all the years we were at home together. But I always, you look up and your role models at school, they were all teachers. And I went to a very small elementary school, and those were superheroes in our town. And I've just always felt inclined to be a nurse or a teacher, something to help others. And my grandmother was a nurse. My mother taught in Sunday school all through, and my grandmother taught Sunday school too. And I just had lots of nurturing around me, and I wanted to share that with others.
Wow, that's inspiring. That's good. You know how
Thank you.
yeah how Sunday school can inspire little ones to be like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you become the principal at Tahlequah High School? Was it a dream of yours? Was it a life goal that you had?
It, when I first started teaching, I probably couldn't have ever seen myself in this position. It kind of evolved naturally. I became a vice principal. Well, first I did leadership teacher. I was a leadership teacher. I was a Spanish teacher, then a leadership teacher. And in leadership, I kind of evolved into student council sponsor and helping those student leaders become better leaders. And I think that naturally evolved into a leadership position at the school. So I moved into an assistant principal role. And then I was asked to go to the alternative school and be that director. And I really loved that role. You do lots of problem solving and meeting kids where they are and helping them learn behaviors that are interfering with their education and really just helping them get through and decide what they want to do next. And so I kind of carried that with me now in this role, and that I've moved to the head principal position, that I have more students to serve and more teachers to help. So
Could you talk to our beautiful audience about what the alternative school is about? Because we have different countries that are watching us.
okay.
And I think it's a blessing, having this extension from the high school for those students that need that in order for them to, graduate and have a bright future, instead of like dropping them to be like, okay, well, then you don't follow the rules, then it's on you. But I think, like, coming from a different country,
Mhm.
it was like you either put in the effort or you don't graduate or you're a dropout. But
Right.
I think that having this here in the community, it's to me is like, oh wow, like it is a blessing that people care and that they have a system for those that might not have the privilege to have mom and dad at home, or they come from a different family background that they don't appreciate education as much as other family do.
So traditionally, alternative schools in our country are modeled for overage undercredit students. So kids that have had failings due to behavior or academic, a gap in academic skills. The state of Oklahoma looked at that and they kind of revamped basically like the expectations for having an alternative school. And so there's a rubric, and a child and their parents are involved in this rubric, this process, and you go through the rubric, and basically we don't want it to be a graduation mill or a place where you get out quickly. It's just get done. We really want to educate the whole child. So we know that kids that need an alternative setting don't do well in a traditional brick and mortar school. They either have social or emotional barriers to their learning, or a gap in essential learning targets or skills. And so you just take the kid where they are, you involve the parent. It's a choice to go to the alternative school. It's not like you're not sent to the alternative school. It has to be a student or parent choice. And it basically, they have a lot more flexibility in their scheduling and how opportunities for children to graduate and be successful, even if they lack what a traditional student would have. We found with research that art education, like art is very therapeutic. And so in Oklahoma alternative schools, an art component is essential. And we've also found that touring art museums and cultural tours and museums are a great component to get kids in touch with things. But art is the main thing. They have an outlet. So when I was there, we wrote a grant and got a Cricut machine. And so when the kids would do really well that day and get all of their work done and meet their goals academically, then I'd give them an hour of art time to play on the Cricut and design and create. And it just made a really big difference. So that was a great opportunity. And I hope I get to go back there one of these days when I'm towards my retirement era. Does that kind of help you understand what alternatives?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I just wanted to let our beautiful audience know that there are places in the world that do care. Like it, to me, changed the way of thinking. That sometimes parents, are too worried probably about making the living, and they cannot care about their kids' education. But there are systems, education systems, like here in the U.S., especially here in Tahlequah, where I've witnessed it, and I'm like, wow, like to me, it's like a blessing. So thank you for for being a part of it.
Well, and you and I both worked in the adult education program. So if a kid did not, a student, a high school student didn't do well in the alternative school and they made a choice to just go get their GED or their high set, we worked with those kids. They were an extension of our school. And then the other extension was we could refer kids to Job Corps, which is another alternative. You could go a GED route or a high school route, but you also got on the job training, vocational training while you were there. And we have Talking Leaves in Tahlequah too. So we're very blessed in this area.
Yes, I agree. Now, what has been the greatest challenge leading the high school team, the principal?
I think I am a person that likes to get things done. And so just being more reflective and slowing down, because the problems that come to me sometimes, there are a lot of them. And so I like that because it's challenging and no day is the same. But sometimes I tend to do things quickly because I want to just get to the next task. And so have had to be really mindful about slowing down, being reflective, and really thinking through decisions that are very important. And then also getting input. I've always been really good at getting the input of other people, but especially now it's very important. So I think just slowing down. When you have so many things to do, you have to slow down. So that's my biggest challenge probably.
I think we all have that challenge, being present, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's a reminder every day, I think, because I'm with you. Of course, I don't lead, a big team, but still, is like even through with family at work and wherever I go, just try to enjoy the moment and be present instead of like check mark. I used to be that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm working on that.
Good. I think we all are, and we all need to work on that presence. Just breathe and be present. But thank you for sharing your challenge. And what has been the most rewarding moment?
I guess I've had a couple parents that I have younger siblings now, and I may have had older brother or older sister at the alternative school, and they'll say, Miss Cloud, oh, if it wasn't for you, my child wouldn't have gotten through high school. Those are the most, that's why I do what I do. Like if I can hear that I had just a little bit of work or gave hope to a kid or gave them some inspiration to finish high school and help them, that is everything for me.
Magic moments. So sometimes, you probably had no clue when it happened.
No.
But just by practicing, your habits, your attitude, you were able to empower someone to be like, I can do that. I'm better than what I am behaving right now.
Right. Or some kids that I had to assess discipline to as a discipline principal. And then even at the alternative school, I would have to assess discipline because I was the only person there. And, you discipline a kid because you want to hold them accountable and make them, aware that the world is going to, eat them alive if you don't prepare them. And it wasn't to be mean. It was because you love them and want to teach them boundaries. And then I see them, they'll drive by me at the grocery store or something and they wave and talk. And I'm like, okay, they do know that I was trying to show them love in the correct way, so that's a good moment for me too.
Oh, good. Yeah. And now that you say that, I have one student that he was getting in trouble. Like he was talking to another student, but it wasn't kind. So I had to redirect him. Now that you say that, and I said, please be useful. No, I said make yourself useful. And my second language it's English. So and I questioned myself. Well, maybe that was a wrong way. It came out the wrong way. But I asked him, like, please make yourself useful. Because the way this comments that he was saying. So he's like, oh, Miss Guthrie, you call me useless. I was like, no. I was like, no. I said, I'm trying to save you. I said, I'm trying to save you from creating a problem over here. I said, so that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. I said, but I never called you useless. I said, please make yourself useful. So now it's the joke. Every time he walks into the classroom, he's like, Miss Guthrie called me useless. I was like, no.
Don't you like when they turn your words on you?
Oh, yes. I'm like, no. I said, you can give it the meaning you want to us, but this is how what I intended. He's like, oh, I intended to save you. But yes, it's like sometimes you can see that even whenever you're trying to redirect them,
Mhm.
they feel the love,
Yeah.
they feel the love, and I think that's what matters. Not so much for me to make the point, but it's like to have that I accept you the way you are, but I just want to let you know that we need to change, like those words that you're using, or with this laugh or with a smile. So it's like that's one of the biggest takeaway as well. Like that you're sharing that you try to redirect them, and even though you didn't think it was pleasant, they felt the love. You transmitted that you care.
And sometimes our kids nowadays, parents are working so much and they have to make a living. I get it. Everything is, our cost of living is raised exponentially. And the time they have with their children are so precious, they don't want to discipline them. I get that. I get that for my own child. And so when you are showing consistent discipline in a school and kids aren't really used to that, it can be seen as very off-putting and not love. But I think when kids grow up and have their own family, they're like, okay, she was just trying to show me boundaries. That was a kind of love. So
Yes. So what priorities do you have for the high school, the next 2 to 5 years?
So I think this year we've really kind of strengthened our professional learning communities. We are blessed to be in a district where we have an hour every Friday to work and collaborate with our departments, our colleagues. And I think we have really strengthened that time and purpose this school year when we have, okay, we have an agenda and this is what we're going to get done for the entire school year. I think we've done so much work in each department this school year on those professional learning communities. Next year, I would like us to focus on um, benchmarking and looking at the data and just start making data driven decisions in our teaching and our practices and our strategies. So if you are a biology teacher and you're teaching about mitosis, and so is your colleague, we give our benchmarks, and you're scoring higher than me, then I need to look at what you're doing because obviously you're teaching your kids something a little bit better than I am. Not that you're a better teacher than me, but we need to have those crucial conversations so that we can give all of our students the best instruction. So I'm really looking forward to implementing that.
Cool. Yeah, because there is always strategies and techniques that we can implement, that if it can better our personal life, for sure, it will better our professional life. So I I like to grow and learn. So yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So it'll be good. It'll be good. So this week is celebration is Teacher Appreciation Week. What message would you like to share with your team?
Wow, we have an amazing team. I'm so glad that you are a member, but we have just an amazing team. We have so many people that have been teaching for such a long time. We have people that have just entered the profession. We have people that have been, just for 10 years, 15 years, 40 years, 5 years, 2 years. They're all amazing. I mean, they inspire me daily to do a better job and to really create an atmosphere where teachers are respected and revered. And because the job they do is so important. And I really feel that's my job is to make uh, this place, provide them with the things they need to do their job, but really respect them and have them respected. And if there is a problem, help them solve it. And I'm just so proud of our faculty. We have such a great team, and they all genuinely love our kids. And it's a family.
Yes. Uh, help them, help nurture this. It is a team, because there is sometimes teachers that come up to another teacher and they say, "Hey, I have the same student that you have. she has a really low grade in my class as well. I noticed that, she also has a lower grade in your class. What can we do to, like, let's team up so that we can help her bring her grade up?
Right.
And that's one of the things that I experienced this year. I was like, oh wow, that's good. There is caring, not
Yes.
just for that my subject, but it's like I noticed
Yeah.
that she's also, so let's try to encourage her or encourage them. So that is good. And yeah, let's anybody any departments you want to honor. I know they teach math, there is athletics, cooks, uh maintenance, uh science.
Mr. Amison, I want to talk about him because I know he's going to be on your show later. But he's just an amazing individual. He comes from a tragic background. He was abandoned basically, and he doesn't focus on negative. He doesn't focus on trauma. He focuses on making his classroom the best place for kids and making it the place that he needed when he was that age. And he never comes to me with a problem that he does not have a solution for. And that is why he's our district teacher of the year. I'm so proud of him. I watched him as a newbie educator, and we were talking one day about, I would think I was evaluating him as a vice principal, and he said, "Why would you want to be a principal? I want to be a counselor." And I said, "Well, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I think you can actually make things better for kids as a principal, a vice principal, because you have more time to talk with kids and nurture kids and to encourage them to do better." I said, with the counseling, you're just kind of dealing with test scores and schedules. And, I said therapeutic counselors, no, that's different. But so I'm really proud of him, proud that he's our teacher of the year, and proud that he's our district teacher of the year, and just proud to know and love him and watch him grow.
Yes. Also, now that you say our vice principals, they do an amazing job, keeping.
We have a great team. Mr. Foley, Mr. Jordan, and Mr. Cyphers. They are the backbone of our school. If something goes wrong with those three, we're all going to go down because they keep the ship floating. They are wonderful.
Yeah, they support
They
teachers,
do.
so they're a blessing. They are a blessing. What does your vision looks like for Toluca Public School?
Well, I've done a few things. I finished a grant today for aviation program. We're gonna have Aviation 1 next year, and we're gonna use the AOPA You Can Fly curriculum. And basically, the end game is not for every kid to want to be an airline pilot. I just want females, especially because females involved in STEM careers are so low. I want females and males too, but I want our students to know that an aviation or aeronautics career can really change the trajectory of their life and career path in such a positive way. And it's such a growing industry in our state that I think adding that, I wrote a small grant today to get the flight simulator, the supplies they'll need, and then the teacher, their pay to go to the required trainings. So we are going to have that class next year. I have 24 kids involved. I want to just grow that class like crazy in that program. I've talked with Mr. Fanning. He's going to be interested in teaching aviation 2 and 3 because he has that physics background. And it's a great curriculum. Excuse me. I can't wait for the kids to get in there and just go and visit Spartan School of Aeronautics and go and visit the Tulsa Air and Space Museum, and just anything we can do to inspire them to do something great. I think that's my vision. I want to give them opportunities to inspire our kids to do something great.
That's amazing. Can't wait. Can't wait to see it flourish. So how can teachers support you? How can we make, the high school better?
So I think just having an open line of communication with me. I think if I don't know about something, I can't fix it. But if you respect me enough to just have a conversation with me. I think I'm very open, and I really, really try to solve your problem if I can. I try to really be cognizant of that and really open when people need to talk or have issues. I think that's the best way to get things that aren't so good. I think that's the best way, is just to talk them out, think about challenges, think about how we can make things better, and just really just communicate.
Yeah. I'm learning now. I'm 38, so I'm just now learning about it's okay to speak up your unspoken expectations at home, but now in the professional field, I guess that would also help. That
For sure.
those yeah, beautiful. What about parents? How can we help in community? How can we help to the success of Tahlequah High School?
I think communication again. I had a parent call me this week, and they were really upset that their child didn't get into driver's ed this spring. And I said, okay, let me do some investigation. They were really kind, and I really appreciate that. And so I guess I didn't really understand the process. How do kids get in driver's ed? So I needed to look at that process. So I looked and went to our counselors, and we put the kids in a spreadsheet, and it goes by their birth date, and it goes descending. And so the earlier birthdays are up here, the later birthdays are down here, and we just get as many kids as we can in there. And so the parent just had a assumption that, we were picking the who's of the town and putting them into driver's ed, which, I get that. I understand that. And so when I laid it out for her and showed her, what was actually going on, we had a great conversation. And so she had no ill will towards me or the school because I talked it out with her. So I think just having an open line of communication, if you do have a problem or you do have a question or a concern, just, feeling free to come and just send me an email or a call or a text. That would be fabulous. We'd love to help.
Okay, awesome. And what have you seen? Because I know you've been in high school since the beginning of your education career, and it's about 22 years, with this beautiful youth. So, what are some of the challenges that you see our youth are facing nowadays?
Well, I think, social media is a good thing and a bad thing. They see, for my age group, I'm 47, it was magazines, and they kind of gave you a false impression of what a teenage girl was supposed to look like. And so people that I was close to, some of my friends and classmates fell into, eating disorders and things. But nowadays, I think kids are so bombarded with false information and false advertising and false, I guess I wouldn't say false, I guess I would say jaded, like kids are supposed to do this and you're supposed to look like this and you're supposed to, and just be comfortable with who you are, just teaching kids that and teaching them it's okay to not look like the people you see on social media, and just to be confident in who you are, and just focus on being a good person. But also for parents, just teaching our kids, like, social media is not all bad, but we have to teach our kids how to be responsible with it. And so I think teachers, parents, and school personnel, with our students, we've got to teach them, be appropriate with that. And if you say something on social media, it could be there forever. And so you have to really think before you post. And so some of our kids don't do that, and that scares me, but we do try to teach them that when they get in trouble or, are called to the office for something inappropriate. We try to say, look, this is how it could affect you. Really think about that. And I know you didn't think about that when you posted this or posted that, but we do think down the road. So think about 5 years from now, not just how to get back at somebody in class today.
Yes, definitely. It has created a different behavior, a different way of seeing life now, because they're all constantly, and it's an addiction, because they have a little drop of dopamine every time you see a new post or every time you look at the phone, oh, look, so it becomes an addiction. And it is different nowadays than what you're saying. Yeah, I remember magazines was the thing to watch, to look at, to buy. And now it's like constantly there is something new, new information. There's different platforms that our kids are watching. So it does play a role in their, in their psychology and their behavior, like you're saying. And sometimes they think it's, oh, well, I see it on the internet, I can do it too. Or it seems so easy.
And the TikTok challenges that are dangerous to kids' health, or just the instantaneous gratification that they get from getting a message that quickly or sending a message that quickly. And sometimes adults have things in their life, we can't respond to you right away, or we can't, text you right back. And so I guess just teaching them responsibility and proper use.
Yes. Also, this is something I don't see, but I think like a few years ago, it was more like in the middle school where kids would record like someone eating, or just taking pictures that they weren't kind as you're, biting a hamburger or laughing and showing someone's big teeth. But I don't see it. I don't see a problem like in this year. Have you had to deal with any?
A few instances. And we just, when we do talk to kids about that, we always try to tell them why. And, it's not because you broke a school rule. It's because you genuinely made someone feel bad about themselves. And I really don't think that was your intent. And if it was, then maybe we need to look at some counseling or something. But, we try to talk to kids and talk things through and help them figure out why you made that decision and how it impacted others. And I think if you keep that, I guess, theory or strategy for how you handle school discipline, it is more successful.
Yeah, putting your shoes, on the other person. How do you think they felt whenever?
We have had very few instances of that this year that have been brought to our attention. I mean, I'm sure there's other things that aren't brought to our attention, but, I would say our kids, some of our really good kids, leaders in our school, they're very inclusive of our kids that have intellectual disabilities or physical disabilities. And that makes me really proud of being the leader of this school, because they amaze me every day how kind they are to one another. So, I mean, we had two of our babies that are pretty profound in their intellectual disabilities, and they performed at the choir concert last night, sang solos, both of them. So I think it's a whole school. It starts with our Special Olympics send-off, and that's just the best feel-good day of the year. And our kids generally all rally around our special education athletes. And it's just a great day, and it's a great atmosphere. And that's just been nurtured from years and years of love and respect for those kiddos.
Yes, I was going to mention, I would love to also honor our, pre-K and elementaries, because I think they do great expectations. They do a program where they, like they bring the kindness, like they help little ones to develop this kind behavior. And I think Tahlequah has really, care about not just the high school, but it's like all over around how can they improve education. And they always start with, those little ones, so that whenever they get to an older age, then they're examples, like you're talking about. That's the first thing that came to my mind, because I used to work in education as well. And I'm like, oh, wow, all those seeds that you're planting during the early age, it matters.
It does, because I know those kids all had great expectations in elementary, and we have so many good, kind kids. They really are.
Yes. So thank you, Chloe.
We have conscious discipline growing in our elementaries. And so I think when those kids get to the middle school and high school, they're going to know how to self-regulate and help themselves.
Oh, wow. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. Okay. They do a lot of concentration on that in the elementaries. That's pretty powerful stuff.
Can't wait to see the results, because like as you're sharing, how they're behaving, and I'm like, oh, wow. And then I remember it's like, yeah, it's because those beautiful seeds were planting since they were babies. So
yeah, I agree.
Wow. Now, how do you balance your beautiful life between your marriage, motherhood, and your professional life?
Well, I don't, but I try every day. My
Oh,
husband is an athletic director, and he's gone a lot. My daughter is involved in every sport there is. She also plays travel ball, and so we play with a team out of Oklahoma City. So we go to Oklahoma City and play almost every weekend. Um, it just we get what we get, and we are more concerned about the time we have with each other. My husband and I sit down on Sundays and we're like, okay, who's got her when and where, and where does she need to go, and how do we get there? And my sister-in-law has recently moved here, her and my brother-in-law, and they're a great help for us. My mom is retired now, but she lives 2 hours away. My husband's parents are an hour away. They're both retired. So it takes a village to move our crazy train, but we get it done. And our life is very full, but I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
well, thank you for what you do and being an example for a lot of women out there. I know before the show got started, I shared with her that I admire her career because I was one of her students long time ago when I was an exchange student, and she was a Spanish teacher. And then seeing her here and there, and see her professional life grow and her leadership, grow, is like, oh wow, it's like it's a beautiful example for all of us to see what you can get like in a decade if you really set your mind to grow in your professional life, whatever you want to do, is like give yourself 10 years. What can I accomplish in 10 years? I know there's a beautiful director that's about to retire, Susan Van Zandt, and she gave me my first job interview to work at an elementary. And she was a principal assistant. And then now she's retiring as a director. So it's like seeing that as well is like, oh wow, it's like she accomplished a lot within 1 decade. And I,
Yes. Good.
inviting our beautiful audience that if you're suffering right now because you're not there yet, stop seeing it as a short term goal, but
Mhm.
begin to see it as, okay, I'm going to give myself a decade. Where can I be in 1 decade? And just enjoy your beautiful life. Because sometimes we make ourselves miserable
We do.
thinking, I'm not there yet. I don't have the skill yet. But it goes with personal growth. It goes with learning and messing up, and it's like, okay, I need to do it this way, next time. But give yourself grace for whatever you are doing right now. And Mrs. Cloud is an example of what you can accomplish in a decade, and I'm so proud to really have you here today. So I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you. The other thing I want you to tell your listeners is, sometimes no is a good no. Like I've been told no on jobs and promotions, and at the time I took it as a negative, but sometimes, and when you have retrospect, when you can look back, they always say hindsight is 2020. It truly is, because you're like, wow, I'm so glad that I was not there at that time in that position, because that would have been terrible. So no is sometimes a blessing. We just don't know it yet. And just trust in God and trust in your higher power, and, just really be thoughtful and fervent in prayer, and it will get you many places.
Yes, thank you. What would you advise a bright new principal that's about to start the next school year?
I think number one, you need to get in and learn the culture of your school. You're going to have teacher leaders that have the most influence and can be the most helpful. I think I already had that going for me because I knew the ins and outs of this school, and that really helped me and kind of put me farther ahead, which I'm very thankful for. But as a new person coming in, you really need to know the school culture and climate so that you can be successful. You don't want to do too much at one time. You need to come in and learn and then grow.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about post-pandemic. Like, how are kids, adjusting to? I think this is the first school year,
Mm-hmm.
full school year, right? They're like, okay, we're all in. or 90% in, like what have you observed?
I think our kiddos, it stunted their growth a little bit developmentally. We didn't think about this, but I'm looking at the research now. And, kids that were in their teen years, when they are developing, school is a great tool because they get to interact. And they had 18 months where they didn't really get to interact as much as they should have. Now they had social media and they had text message and FaceTime, but really being with your peers, the ones you like and the ones you don't like in a classroom, is a lot of social and emotional education. Learning how to maneuver difficult relationships. And what we're seeing now is kids, they kind of reverted back to the cocoon of being at home. And so school terrifies them. We have a lot of kids that are terrified to come to school with anxiety, crippled with anxiety, and my heart is breaking. But we are working with those kiddos, working with their parents, trying to make a long-term plan to get them back to school. We have all resources and supports to help them get there. I think it will get better. I think it was worse last year. So I know it's getting better. And so we've just got to be positive and give those kids some grace and love and some special attention, and just work with them to make goals and targets of when they can do things. And, if they're having a bad day, we go to the calm room and we chill out for a little bit. And then we try to get back to class. So whereas before we might have let them spend the whole day in the calm room, we might say, okay, you've got 45 minutes in the calm room. I'm going to come back and check on you. And we set timers. And then, the next day it might be 30 minutes. And then the next day it might be 15 minutes. So we're just not trying to wean them off of us, but essentially empower them to know that they can do it.
Give them the validation. That's what I hear. You're like, I get where you're at. I know how you feel. I can kind of understand how you feel. And then you're validating their emotion. So
yes.
I think
And it
that's
is
good.
true. It's true anxiety. I get that. And we don't want to ever do anything or make a decision that's going to make it worse, And I'm not a mental health professional. I've learned a lot over my years in education, but we see lots of kids struggling, but we see less than last year. So it is moving in a positive way.
Okay, that's great. What about our the challenging behavior? Do you think it spiked up after the pandemic? Do you think it's been, like, what do you think?
I don't see any more challenging behaviors than I did before the pandemic. I think parents are a little less trusting for us to do the right thing, which I understand because every day you see something negative in the news all over the country. And, the pandemic, if it did one thing, it did make us reinforce that our family is most important. And we need to slow down, take a pause, and think about what is truly important. And that is our family. And so, when kids get in trouble, that's upsetting to a parent. And I get that. And so I'm just trying to be more caring and nurturing and loving to parents as well as kids. But I don't see the behaviors being worse. There were crazy behaviors. Kids just do silly things. They're trying to figure out who they are and what they're going to be like and what they're going to wear and their style and their, it's so hard. And so I think just trying to support and nurture them as well as their parents makes it into a positive.
Yes, and here we go again, going back to parents, where you mentioned earlier, like we're working more, we're trying to catch up with the prices,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes we don't give them that much of attention. So parents out there, it's like we have to make the special time. We have to make the special time to make them know, to make our kids know that they matter, that that they are important in our lives, that we care for them. Because sometimes we get tied into the routine or the worries of the day, but they still need us. Like their brain doesn't finish develop until they're 25 if they're females and 28 when they're boys. So,
And sometimes big kids, teenagers, they're not going to tell you, I need time with you today, mom. They're going to act out so that they get time with you. I had a kiddo yesterday, and I'm really working with her on communication and being appropriate. And she said, I'm just struggling today. I can't be here. And I said, well, where's your mom? And she said, well, my mom is in town today. She usually works out of town. And I said, okay, I'm going to call your mom. And I texted her and I said, hey, I think she just needs you today. I didn't say your kid's struggling. I just said, I think she needs you today. And that was probably a more positive interaction between the child and the parent when she got in the car because I rephrased it. So I'm trying to work on that because sometimes kids aren't able to tell their parents, even though they love each other more than anything in the world, they're not able to go, hey, I just need you today. I'm an adult, and sometimes I have a hard time telling my mom at that.
Yes, and I was sharing with Miss Cloud early, like sometimes our kids might get the age where you feel like, oh, maybe my job as worrying is over, which is not. It's not. It's like always trying to be there, like making sure that we're guiding them to make the right decision. Because I don't think even probably after they get married, we're gonna try to guide them to make sure that they continue to make the right decision, right?
I see a lot of times this year, I see senior parents and parents, senior parents and seniors. It's like this shuffle to figure out, okay, you're not a kid, but you're not an adult, but you still live here and you're still in high school. I still need to tell you what to do, but you want to be independent. And I don't get this. And I see it every year. I see parents and senior kids struggling. So it's just part of growing up, I think.
Yeah. Yes, trying to find the middle point, right?
It's hard to figure out those new parameters.
Yes. Yeah, now that you say that, yeah, because it's like, well, I don't want to keep you here because you have to grow. But then if I let you grow you too early, there might be consequences. So yes, just trying to find the middle ground where we're both growing because we continue to grow if we choose to grow. Like we're gonna learn to be mother-in-laws in the future, right? Have to learn learning new skills. So
for sure. And it's just growing. I mean, if we didn't have growing pains, we wouldn't be doing anything right. So,
yes. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any last message that you would like to share before we go?
Just love your babies because life is so short. Life is fleeting and every day is precious. And I'm trying to have that good attitude every day. And sometimes I fail, but every day is a blessing.
Thank you all so much for being here with us. I really appreciate your time. If you want to rewatch the replay, you can go to my YouTube channel, Paula Guthrie. If you know anyone that could benefit from this information, please share. Remember that this show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all news and programming. Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Blessings to you all, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.